So I think we can start at 6 o'clock, and it's always good to start on time. I think people are joining in. I can see a lot of people have joined in the last minute or two. So I'm sure over the next few minutes people will be logging in as well. But we'll start so that we can give ample time for those who have been on time and have logged in already. So a big welcome to all of you on the second day of this week-long webinar series, knowledge series that we have started since yesterday to dive into the circular bioeconomy space. This is a space, as we spoke about yesterday, something that all of us need to get aware of. And yesterday, as you would have, those of you who were there yesterday would recollect that one of the big things that Dr. Ganesh Kamath in his opening talk on the bioeconomy mentioned was one of the big issues is the lack of awareness, in addition to many other things. So, and this is one attempt to try and work in that space of improving awareness in what's happening, and also try and understand who's doing what and how can we learn from their experiences. I think yesterday was a good beginning because we got a sort of a bird's eye view of what is bioeconomy, and then a talk by Dr. Prasad Modak that really brought many things together, things that are sometimes spoken about but not fully understood. What is bioeconomy? How is it connected to the green economy? How is it connected to the circular economy, and so on? And I think both these talks together gave us a good start to understand what is the circular bioeconomy space. Today, we are jumping into what is actually happening on the ground. And as you all know, STARS Forum is a network, it's a peer network of organizations, individuals, academic institutions, research institutions, on the ground skilling institutions, NGOs, non-profits, even for-profit social enterprises, all working with a broad aim of improving productivity, improving skills, improving knowledge, improving the ability of people within India, primarily those in the rural and the informal unorganized sectors, to improve their capacities, their livelihoods, their incomes, and so on and so forth. And in the past, we have looked at very relevant topics. And increasingly, we are also now seeing that while there is an issue about climate change and environmental degradation, and many interesting entrepreneurs, innovators that we will be talking today and in the coming few days have started working on it, there's also an equal amount of focus on developing the skilling that is required to work in this space. So it may not be the best of space to be in the sense of the fact that we're dealing with a crisis sometimes, but it is also creating an opportunity for people to develop their skills and become useful contributors in the climate change space, the sustainability space, and so on. So with that intention, we'll start today's session. Today we have three speakers, three guests who have done some wonderful work, two entrepreneurs who have both focused on what is a problem in most urban areas today, urban waste, which is a big issue in most parts of India today, is a big issue. And both of them have addressed or have been trying to address this aspect since many years in a very dedicated, very focused manner. Two very different ways of addressing this thing. The outcomes are similar in terms of what they're doing to the urban waste, but we are going to look in to understand what does it take to develop products and services that meet the needs of urban India, urban customers who tend to have a slightly less of or maybe a little less concern about what's happening. Sometimes it's not something that they are very familiar with, etc., etc. So a lot of very challenging space, and we are going to be understanding what's going on. So we have the first guest, Ravindra Karnad, who is an IIT graduate from Kanpur, spent many decades in the semiconductor, in the electronic space, working with very large organizations, in also some of the most marquee organizations in India like CDOT and then Texas Instruments and so on. But later on, in around 11 years ago, he turned into a social entrepreneur and has developed or built this organization called Prudent Ecosystems, which is working on addressing the issue of urban wet waste, composting that, and developing a solution that works in large colonies as well as in smaller places, addressing what commercial establishment might need, and so on and so on. So we are going to start off first with Mr. Ravindra Karnad, who's going to talk about his journey trying to solve this problem. After him, we have Priyadarshan Sahasrabuddhe, who's worked on a very similar thing in an urban context, but generating biogas from the waste that comes out in the urban areas. We're going to speak to him later. And the third speaker today is Dr. Mansi Tripathi, who's going to talk about, she's from the International Water Management Institute, and she, along with International Water Management Institute, along with BAIF, have started last year an incubation hub specifically focused on supporting innovators in the space of the bioeconomy. So we are talking to two entrepreneurs, and then we're talking to somebody who's set up incubation hub, and we'll be able to see how these two things can work together. So we'll start off with Mr. Ravindra Karnad's talk about his journey in the urban waste management. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chaitanya and team. Let me begin. I'd like to share my presentation. Do let me know if it's visible, and I will. Is it fine? Are you able to see it, or
it's coming up? It's coming up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see the presentation.
Okay. Let me know if the slide also moves. So I'm a little clumsy at these things. So as Chaitanya said, I'm going to talk about my experience on composting for homes and communities, and the outline of the problem. Has the slide moved? I'm just asking.
Not yet.
It says your screen sharing is paused. So
okay, should I do the sharing?
Yeah, I think that's better. I think
okay.
I might make some mistake.
I'll take over. Yeah. Okay, no problem. I'll get your screen shared. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you can go ahead.
Yes.
I'll move to the next screen. Let me know when you want me to move.
Yeah. So this is the outline of the talk on the first slide, where I'll talk about the scale of the problem and the motivation to get into this field. The next, I will talk about while designing the solution, what were the key points that drove the design, and what are our experience in driving and implementing it. Then circularity, how are the outputs being used, and what is the value perception for the customer. Then the employment potential. And lastly, challenges in building a sustainable business in this sector. So on the next slide, I begin with the first point, that is the scale of the problem and the motivation. Based on our own data also and something published, we find that an urban household generates about 0.8 kg per day of wet waste. This wet waste, not total waste. And Bangalore has a population of 14 million as of today. And just to mention in passing, it has 12 million vehicles. Now, this population has doubled from 7 million in 2007. So you can see the waste generation is very high, and the total waste, I don't know if the figures are correct also, but they say it's like 5,000 tons per day. And because of widespread dumping, I don't think that, this may be accurate also. And I had checked up and I found that waste processing plants, many of them are operating below capacity and some of them are not operating also. And even the a new waste to energy plant, it doesn't even get the requirement. The daily requirement is just 600 tons, or hardly 10% of the waste generation. They don't even get that delivered. I'll talk about the reasons later on. Lastly, this is not a technical problem, and it's this from COVID times onwards. Food delivery and quick service restaurants has made the problem much worse. And Bangalore has reportedly got more than 20% of India's market share in this business. So this only compounds the problem for waste generation. So let's go on to the next point, that is designing the solution. So what were the key things we kept in mind while I used to do my own composting even before I started my company in 2014. So I had some experience in composting. So the first thing I wanted was that it should be space efficient, because in an urban setup where land and every square foot almost is at a premium, so the space efficiency is should be considered. That is how many kgs per square meter you can compost. The next point is that it should be modular and scalable, because in many apartments, especially the old ones, either there is no space allocated by the builder for waste management, or if there is some space, it is not sufficient. So if it is modular and scalable, then you can distribute that the thing across the site in the apartment. You can also do implementation in phases, and based on availability of budget, or if an apartment feels that in some place they have right now less number of people, so scalable and modularity was there. Then of course, I think the most important one, and the one where we found the biggest challenge, was hygiene. That is, it should be almost nil odor. People will not tolerate it, even if there is a little bit of smell. And it should be unobtrusive and aesthetic. So these were the first, the requirement from a customer point of view. The next is nil or minimal plastic. That is a condition which we imposed on ourselves, that if we want to be friendly with the environment, then we shouldn't try to have plastic all over, because sooner or later we'll have to deal with it and it will become a waste in itself. So it's a big challenge, because the cost has to be kept low. So we lose the low cost advantage because we have gone in for stainless steel. Like I say in the next point, it should be robust and with minimal maintenance, so that it should be kept out of doors all the time. There should be no special requirement for shelter and so on. So the only choice is to have stainless steel construction. So this was the overall limits or the constraints in our design that we set for ourselves. We can move to the next foil. So let's go to the circularity aspect now. As Chaitanya was saying, there is a bigger picture which actually I don't see always, because I get lost in the day-to-day problem solving, talking to customer and fixing issues there. So, some of these terms itself were new to me, that what is circularity and of the economy and so on. So, but I have been thinking about it a bit, but not too much. So I'll just share a few thoughts which I have. So let's take a community which is generating 100 kg per day of waste. From our experience, the thumb rule estimate is that this 100 kg per day results in about 1000 kg per month of compost. So what does the community do with the compost? Now, it's easy to say that use it in your gardens, but there is no garden. There are no gardens. I mean, there's very little garden areas. Everything is cemented, and so that is a challenge. So some people sell it to their residents. Some of our customers, they sell it to their residents who have balcony gardens or terrace gardens. Some sell it to rural or semi-rural, I mean, just around the Bangalore city farmers. And lastly, we also offer to buy it back. We buy it back so that we process it and make it even better quality, and then we can sell it to some really good customers. Now, the income from the sale of compost, it only partially meets the operational costs of labor and consumables. That's because of a couple of reasons. One is the cost of transportation is very dominant. So transporting it outside the city to growers outside is not feasible. It's too expensive. And the second thing is we are, I didn't mention it here, but the second point, which of course you must be knowing, is that the cost of chemical fertilizers is highly subsidized. So people will try to compare our cost with that of what they get from the government, and you can't compare the two. So for these reasons, circularity is very difficult to manage. I mean, we struggle even now to close the loop, so to say, and sell our compost so that generates enough value. The last is, what is the perceived value? Now, frankly, here I feel that the perceived value, at least for most customers, is very low. Although theoretically they will all agree and say that yes, we must do these things. But in your apartment, there'll always be an excuse. We don't have money. We need to spend for the lift. We need to spend for something else. So this is very low on the priority. Although they won't say no, but the priority is very low. And the benefits of, even if you say that this is the benefit of composting for the environment and for the city and so on, it doesn't stack up well with the monetary benefits. Now, the prime reason is, which I'll probably talk about in the next one, is that the takeaway costs are much lower. And the takeaway is usually for dumping. And you cannot compare the cost of taking away and dumping versus composting on site. So for this reason, the perceived value by customers is a barrier, and growth of the market is also because it slowed down because of this. We'll go to the next foil. Employment potential. Now, in employment potential, there are three areas in which employment can be looked at. One is the manufacturing and the tech services, which is like, let's say I have a small workshop or a factory. That is where we need skilled labor, we need welders, we need fitters to build our shredder or our composters. The volume of such labor is very low, but the skill required is high. The next is consumables and logistics. Now here there is continuous business for those people, like say, who are sourcing cocoa peat and they have to do regular supply. They have to, give it month by month almost. There is a requirement at certain customer sites. They have to pick it up from somewhere, deliver it somewhere. So consumables and logistics is a continuous business. Labor in the operations is also a continuous business. Now, consumables and logistics, more or less, it's a trading business, and we use porter to deliver the things. Now, labor in operations actually seems very attractive as long as you can manage a labor force. There are good organizations in Bangalore which do manage only labor, like you may have heard of Hasrudala and all those people. So they do a good job. So these people can, do the daily processing of waste, and it is the highest opportunity in all these three areas of employment. But it's also most difficult to retain because they like to, the labor likes to change. They would have come from another state. Usually it's migrant labor. So it's difficult to retain them because they would want to try other types of jobs, like delivery boys being the first preference. There's always something very attractive to them for being a Swiggy or a Zomato delivery boy, or if nothing, security guards. So these are the areas of employment, and I feel the volume of employment is very high in the labor in the operations. So we can go to the next slide. So here, if you look at challenges, I would say the single biggest challenge for us is the enforcement of the law, not creating a law. There is rules which are existing. I'm sure it's there in Maharashtra and in other places also, just like it's there in Bangalore. The rules exist right from the time before I started my company also. And they've been revised and notified again and again. But unfortunately, there is no enforcement. So there's no instance of any apartment being penalized for any violation of any kind. Now, because of this, and because of, we talked about the value perception by the customers. If there's no penalty, then the market size it just shrinks because there will be few people who would want to do good, but it has to be put to a vote and in the apartment, and many people will vote against it simply because they will say, why should we pay more when there is somebody already taking away our thing, and there's no rule. We pay our taxes. Why should we do the composting? So these are common arguments which are heard across apartments and over the years. And even recently in Bangalore, there was a notification that the BBMP, that is the municipal corporation, would charge a hefty amount for those who don't do on-site composting. But very soon there was a body of representation from the commercial establishments like restaurants and all who went and appealed, and so this rule is kept in abeyance right now. So we are once again back to the point where there is no enforcement of the law. So the parallel options of takeaway, it remains a single biggest challenge, and this is what breaks the closed economy loop. And hence only a few people are willing to take on-site composting. And this is true for the communities and in some sense for the individual homes also, because both have to make a similar decision. So I have completed my presentation. So if there are questions, and if you have time for questions, I can take them now, or you can also write to me later and
Yeah, definitely. I think this we should probably try and show some of the composters. I just remembered that maybe we should show the kind of composters you have built, and there is the design that goes behind uh, creating such a thing. Are you able to see my slide?
I'm able to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting. I think we'll come to the challenges. They're very difficult challenges, but very interesting. Part of the work was in the actual design of the composter itself. It's obviously actually much better looking than most. And so there is an aesthetic element to the design. You also mentioned that uh, you avoided the use of any plastic in in the composter itself, design itself, and almost all of it is stainless steel, if I'm not wrong. Could you tell us a little bit, maybe a little bit, just about a minute or so, about the science that you have applied in this, in the composting, the design of the unit?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just be very brief about it. I'll later on send a video explaining it in more detail. But the basic choice is driven by the fact that we wanted it to be good hygiene, no odor. Now, no odor for us meant that the aerobic action has to be very efficient. Now, if the aerobic composting action has to be efficient, then there has to be heat retention because aerobic composting generates heat. So, although typically in the online you will see that windrow composting and all that is done, where you just put the matter in rows. Now, there it's very wasteful because there is a lot of energy lost. So we had to construct, we had to design something, technically you will call this a reactor, bioreactor or something, but we had to construct something which is like double walled, so there's heat retention. And the heat from the composting is retained well, and in many places the temperature crosses 60 to 70 degrees centigrade within a few days. So that also gives rise to, so it has to be like, natural convection. There's no fan or anything inside. It gives rise to natural convection because of the heat. It draws in air from below, and it escapes from some vents on the side, and the heat is at the heat loss is prevented. Then the top makes sure that if there's some sunlight, it comes in and warms it up a bit. Now the top is the only part which is plastic, in the sense acrylic transparent thing. Because of safety reasons, we didn't want to put glass, although we could make it zero plastic by adding glass also. So
Very interesting.
this is the basic thing. Now we have modified the design or size a little bit here and there, but this has worked very well right from the beginning. And the pictures on the picture on the left is from a community which had 400 and something homes. So this is on their terrace, and the picture on the right is from a villa community. The one on the left is from an apartment community, and both are like about 7, 8 years on the field.
Mm. So, how many have you been able to get installed so far? And what is the volume of uh, waste that your thing is now able to process?
See, it's very low for the amount of time that I've been around, right? I mean,
Mm, mm,
over 10 years, I think I've got only about 30, 35 communities, and about 3,000 kgs per day is being processed. For various reasons, like I said, it's very difficult to grow the market. So you can say roughly 3 tons per day is, what is the installed capacity at the sites.
mm.
And we have a
There
few
is.
scattered, sorry.
Please go ahead.
No,
No,
I
go
was
ahead.
just saying that mostly it's Bangalore. We have one or two in Mysore and Coimbatore and Gurgaon, and Pune, one organization has taken it. But otherwise, you can say we are 99% in Bangalore.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So I think there's a question Vipan has asked. What is the estimated quantity of household organic waste generated per community or apartment per month? I think you answered that at the beginning, was approximately zero point 0.8 kilos, 800 grams per day per apartment of.
Uh,
That's the average
per
that you
flat,
have been
yeah,
able
yeah.
to per flat.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that number works well. And, in very few cases, we have found, actually, in some place, we even did a home to home survey. In a villa community, we did a home to home thing, and through the statistics, we have some people with just 100 grams, and we have some people with 3 kgs per day. But
Mm, mm,
overall, the
mm,
average is still coming to around 0.8. So this number has not gone wrong whenever we did used it
mm,
for sizing the system, because we are talking about
mm.
wet waste only. We are not talking about the
Yeah, yeah.
cardboard and yeah.
True, true. I think a couple of questions, and maybe then we can move on and then come back again. What is the capital cost in this kind of a model, and what? And I think the last one is also very interesting. What kind of support would help entrepreneurs like yourself scale up in the sector? I think maybe the answer is embedded in some of the things that you mentioned, is in the fact that there are rules, there are laws, but there's no implementation. If there was a better implementation of the laws, I think the
Yes.
demand would grow up. I think the limitation
Yeah.
is not so much in the and naturally, I think even though it is a low base, as you are saying, about 30 plus installations, but they are big installations, biggish enough to give confidence to large housing
Yeah.
societies. Where so we are not looking at small solutions and then trying to make judgments or decisions based on that. Many of what you have shown and is are working in fairly large apartment complexes. So the solution is there. The outcomes are
Yeah.
visible. I think the support really is about trying to implement laws which have already been passed in a way.
Yes, exactly. Now, coming to
Yeah,
the capital cost, I have often said this, that if you look at a typical modern home in Bangalore, we spend a lot of money, forget the flat, we spend money on a car or a vehicle, we have fridge and we have microwaves, ovens, this, that. So if you calculate all that, it will go into lakhs of rupees, right? If you look at the investment that you do. Whereas our expense, even though my product is expensive compared to others, still the one time cost in an apartment, when you divide it out over per house, will be no more than 4,000 rupees per house as a one time cost. Operation cost
that's
is,
actually
yeah,
very reasonable.
yes,
Actually,
yeah, but the hesitation only comes because of the point you mentioned, that why should I even spend that, because I can give it and somebody will take it away for nothing,
yeah,
next to
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
So
Very
I
true.
hope
Very
these
true.
two are answering your question.
Very true. I think this is a good sort of understanding of how difficult the space is, and it is not the science or the technology or anything else, but it is really overcoming some basic mindsets and the basic understanding of why we need to be doing this. And I think
Yeah,
overall, hopefully, as time progresses, awareness will be much better. And I think good thing is that you and many other entrepreneurs have already got the solution ready. So it's not the solution that is waiting. It is really the market that should be developed and that should open up. And if the market opens up, the demand opens up, naturally the entire space becomes commercially viable. There's more employment opportunity, as you mentioned. And given the kind of designs that are used, it requires good skilled manpower. It's not just any
yeah.
manpower, but good skilled manpower. And the circularity can also be established in connecting the dots. I think this is admirable work that you've done over the last 10, 11 years. And I'm hoping that, over time, things will get better for everyone. So thanks a
Thank you,
lot.
Chaitanya.
Please, yeah, yeah, please. Please go ahead.
Just one closing remark is that,
Yeah,
like you said, what can help your business grow? Now, what we as a collective of different manufacturers who make composters, we find that, we are not competing against each other. We are just competing against those who dump. So
right.
we have a common competitor who
Yeah,
just takes it and dumps it. So we are not,
yeah,
we don't even get a chance to compete with each other. So we
yeah.
often talk on, on the forum. So this is what the
Totally
situation
understand.
here.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very right.
So
Very
thank you
right.
for the opportunity to speak. If there are questions, you can email me and I'll answer
Yeah,
them individually also. I'll be most happy. I could see some
absolutely.
things popping up, but I think we are running out of time. So please send them to me over email.
I will.
I'll answer them.
We'll do that. We'll do
Yeah.
that. We'll do that. Thank you so much. And in fact,
Thank you.
actually, the next speaker is already here. So
Yeah.
I would welcome Priyadarshan Sahasrabuddhe. another very gusty entrepreneur, I would say, again, working in a very challenging space in the urban sector. So, Priyadarshan, welcome onto the show in the series that we are having today. Wonderful to have you. A quick introduction about Priyadarshan. He's another IIT graduate. So we have two IIT graduates working on some very, very difficult problems. And a very double degree in mechanical engineering, but something that he attended, which was the Nirman program of Dr. Rani and Dr. Bang's. This thing actually helped him sort of figure out what he wants to do, which eventually led to the creation of Chakradhar Lifestyle Solutions. This team has been working together for the last 7 odd years, led by Priyadarshan, and they have worked they've come up with about three different solutions. To one is wet waste, food waste, converting that into biogas, sorry. Then the second one is human waste and converting that into biogas. They've got a lot of installations in commercial installations, 300 plus, 350 plus installations of their products, which is quite admirable. Interestingly, they've also got a cafe in Pune, Cafe Climate, which is entirely run on the biogas that is generated. Interestingly, since 2019, even Priyadarshan's own home has never used LPG. That's fantastic. I mean, it's like eating your own dog food, as they say. So, Priyadarshan, you've actually shown that you can run an entire home on biogas. Challenges are going to be there, no doubt. This is not an easy space to work in. So, thank you so much for agreeing to share your journey in addressing urban waste and trying to come up with solutions. Over to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chaitanya, for the introduction. And good evening to everybody. Good evening, Joginder, Mahesh, Utkarsha, Ranjit, Amisha, Sakshi. I'm just saying good evening to all of you. I know this medium, this online medium can be a little boring uh, to keep your attention, but I'll try to be as energetic as possible to keep you all awake. Let me just begin with what we do, because sometimes I keep talking, and then by the end I have realized I haven't even explained what I do. So I have made a very short presentation. Chaitanya, can I request you to share it? Hmm? And also, I would like to thank Ravindra for the earlier presentation, because I believe he has explained the boundary of the problem, the boundary in which we are trying to solve this problem, the boundary of the commercials, the boundary of the psychology, the boundary of implementation of law. The same holds for me also, the same boundary in which I am trying to solve this problem. So I'll quickly tell about what I do, and then I'll really get into the why of it. Hmm? So we are known as Vayu Biogas, and the theme around which we are solving is our generation, you and I. And when I say generation, I believe it's if you and I are alive at the same time, we belong to the same generation. So you and I standing so that we do not inherit the problems that we now know to the future generation. So it's our generation standing for the generations to come. One interesting thing is we cannot now feign ignorance. We cannot say, oh, we did not know these problems. We very well know these problems now. And therefore, I believe it's a generational calling. It's something that everything side and we got to solve these big problems. That's the scale that's the level at which I look at the problem of climate, the problem of environment and fossil energy. So Vayu is essentially a energy generation method which will last for the generations to come. So there's a pun on that. It's an energy generation method also. But it's you and I standing for the generations to come so that we do not inherit these problems to the next generation. Next. So we make next. Uh, okay. So I've already explained the purpose, but I also want to tell you one nice fun fact. When we decided to register our organization, we applied to the registrar of companies, and the certificate that I got when our company got incorporated dated 22nd of April 2019, which means even our government wanted our organization to be registered on the Earth Day. So it's a very positive coincidence. So we have been founded on Earth Day in 2019. This happens to be our 7th year of operation. Next. I want all of you to take one very important piece of science, a number which you will really be able to think about in the future. When we cook at home, we are a family of 4, 5, average. Some families are bigger, some families are smaller. On an average, we need about 1 cylinder per month of cooking gas. If we wanted to generate an equivalent amount of energy from waste, here is how it would look. About 10 kg of raw waste, which is fruit peels, vegetable cuttings, if we convert into energy every day for 1 month, it will be equivalent to 1 cylinder. Having said that, if you have the waste in the form of wheat flour or sugar in the form of waste, for example, there is a flour mill near your house, and whatever flour which gets wasted on the floor, so that you will need only 1 kg. Why I am keeping this number in front of you? Because waste is actually food, is not a standard entity. The energy value of the waste is just like when we want to control our weight, we look at the calories that we are eating. Similarly, the potential of your waste to generate energy also depends on the calorie content of the waste in that food. So like Ravindra sir explained, if you are making 1 kg of 0.8 kg, that was, let's assume 1 kg of waste per home. Okay. And that waste will be somewhere calorie wise in between these two. Okay. So if it is closer to this, it will be 1/10 of a cylinder. If it is closer to this, it will be 1 cylinder. So the power of the waste that you're throwing out is somewhere in between. Anywhere between 0.1 cylinder to 1 cylinder per month. So that's the amount of energy we are actually throwing out. Plus, we are creating a huge problem, which is transported away from our city somewhere out. So we transport the problem geographically, and we transport it in time for our next generation to solve. So this is what we are doing when we don't manage our own waste. I'd like to pause here, and if people have any questions about it, I'd like to take it right away.
We don't have any questions yet, but I think I would ask people to, like, it's good that you asked Priyadarshan for people to chip in with their questions. I think there is a question. Please go ahead, Siddharthi.
Yeah. So my question is, this 10 kgs of waste, it's immediately processed, or it has to be again done something and then used for the cylinder? I mean, what is the process in between? Is something
Yeah.
you're coming to, or?
Yeah. So essentially, you have to put your waste into the biogas system as is, and it's once the system starts to function, which takes about 45 days from the date of installation, between a month to a month and a half. It will reach its design capacity, and it's a 24-hour cycle. So every day you put in waste and every day you will get gas.
Okay.
Okay.
So if there's less raw material on a certain day, how does it affect?
You get less amount of gas. That's
Okay,
all.
that's it. Doesn't get
And
spoiled or anything.
yeah, and primarily it's a waste management solution.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the core, the primary objective is to manage waste.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
There
Keval's
is, I think, a
answer to Keval's
question.
question is yes, it can. Like I cook entirely
Oh,
on
okay.
waste, and however, my own waste is not sufficient for me to go LPG free. I get waste from my neighborhood. Okay. There was a question by Sudha. Sudha, would you like to
Yeah,
speak?
I think Sudhata, she asked it. So
Yeah, I
Yes.
got my answer. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay. Fine,
Thank
fine.
you.
Got it, got it. Okay. Yeah, next. What about non-vegetarian waste? So, sorry, I lost that question. What about non-vegetarian waste? So, I'll give you the science. Any biomass in principle can go in. So, but however, if you are referring to bones, when you mean by non-veg, a bone is not energy. A bone is a calcium compound. It's not a carbohydrate in form. So the bone will not give you any energy. The bone will just go in and it will have to be removed out when we do the 6 monthly servicing. How much waste is needed to generate an LPG for a house of 4? So if you're using average, say on an average 1 cylinder per month, and if you have a supply of raw waste, then you will need 10 kg per day. If you have a supply of medium calorie waste like I get from a nearby hotel, I need about 4 to 5 kg of waste. Uh, what is the cost of the biogas plant for a household? I'll come to the cost. Can it be used in RWA for community? Yes, it can be. We have installed in housing societies. We set up the plants on the terrace and the gas is piped to some of the people who choose to use the gas. So we have set it up in housing societies also. That is RWAs. Okay, I think the questions are covered.
yeah, should we move ahead?
Yes, we'll go to the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how the biogas system looks. On the left is a small module system for one home. This is so these people install just to manage their own waste. The core again objective being my waste will get managed in this. When you manage your own waste, the energy output that you get is between 10 to 20% of your cooking gas requirement. So it will not make you LPG free, but it will definitely reduce some of the LPG consumption. Then we have the big module system. The big module system can make one family LPG free. Okay. But like in this case, there is some social engineering and work, and which is really exciting to do. I'll tell you one more reason why I would encourage all of you to do this is because when we speak of the problem of climate change, the core reason for climate change is our consumption of fossil energy in the form of cooking gas, in the form of petrol, diesel, and in the form of the electricity that we use, which primarily comes from coal-driven plants. Now, as common people, you and I sometimes feel very helpless because we don't know how to hit the root of the problem, which is actually our fossil energy consumption. Now, with a biogas system, you enter the zone of action where you start to make your own energy. And around action, a large form of your psychology, your starts to change. So if any of you ever gets burdened by the fact that we feel helpless, what can I do? This will act as an antidote for that negativity. Yeah, so this is the big biogas. I'll explain how you can get LPG free from this. So I collaboratively work with the people who collect waste in my neighborhood, and the lady supplies waste to me between 4 to 5 I need about 4 to 5 kg per day, the kind of waste that she supplies to me. And for supplying that waste, she just gives me a little dabba full of waste, which she's anyways collecting from the neighborhood. She earns 300 rupees per month for that waste. So in some sense, we are creating value for the waste, which is directly received by the person who is working in that waste. And then we have the multi-module systems for institutions, companies who have canteens, for housing societies. These are multiple modules which are placed. Quite similar to Ravindra Sir's systems. So they are modular in nature. And based on how much waste is there, we decide the number of modules. So now the system that you see here is in a canteen in Pune University. It manages the waste of that canteen. Next. The Himalayas,
Sorry.
the
Yeah.
question is right. Can it? So the system does not operate in low temperatures. So the case that you have mentioned right now, the kind of systems we have will not function directly, but it's an engineering solution that we have not solved it right now, but is essentially how to insulate it or how to add heat. This is a feature we do not have in our system right now, but it is something that can be solved in principle, but right now I don't have the solved problem. So we have about 200 people who are using Vayu in their house, in a flat, in a balcony, in a bungalow. Then we have about nine housing societies where we have set up. We have 20 food businesses like restaurants or resorts. Um, many company canteens. Actually, this is not 5 plus, this is more than 20 plus. That's a mistake. Some government institutions, some educational institutions. So we have a lot of installations and we have some amazing customers. And like Ravindra sir was mentioning, how do we actually navigate to find a paying buyer? Okay, it's not always about affordability. It's about building a psychology to pay even those 4,000 rupees, for example, which is one time. So I believe as a climate entrepreneur, we have to ride on the modern media, the modern social media, to create the psychology to which will encourage the person to take a buy decision, to create the positivity around taking a buy decision. This is one of the tools that we have. Needless to say, many others were mentioned by Ravindra sir, like implementation of the law, etc. Interestingly, I must share this positive happening in Pune city right now. Currently, we have a very dynamic officer who is in the Pune Municipal Corporation. And she is really taking the initiative to set these implementation of policy in place. So currently we are, but I do know that I mean, till the positive officer is there, matters will go ahead, then the officer will get transferred and so on. But yeah, sometimes you get these positive windows and we have to benefit when such windows are opened up. Yeah, so I think this was my last slide. So this essentially explains to you the what of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll again pause here if there are any more questions.
I
I
think
can
there are a
take.
couple of questions around types of problems users may face during operations, and what is the kind of income generation possible. I think part of it you've answered in terms of the lady who, at least in your specific case, for those who are collecting wet waste from neighborhoods and giving it to you, they're earning an extra 300 per month for it's about for a minor sort of a work. I mean, the load is not very big in your specific case, but it might vary in terms of the volume of in other places, I guess.
Yes. So I'll explain. So this was one case where the lady is simply supplying waste to me. Okay. Otherwise, she would have got 0 rupees for it. It would have simply, she would have dragged it much ahead in her hand operated cart and placed it at a collection point where the corporation vehicle would have taken it to the dumping site. Okay, so this is definitely an additional income. Um, Having said that, there are institutions, like there is a divisional commissioner office. It's a government office of the divisional commissioner of the division, Pune division. In their canteen, they operate the biogas plant. Now they get paid. We have put up flow meters there, and the canteen uses the gas. Now the gas is measured with the flow meter, and the person who operates the biogas plant is given the remuneration, the value of the gas that gets used. And when that happens, now this is a 10 module system which we have set up. There are 10 modules, so which essentially can manage 100 kg of raw waste, if it is raw waste, or 40 kg of medium calorie waste. So through that, that person earns about 8,000 rupees per month. So essentially, that person is become a climate friendly energy supplier. So by changing this role of that person, they can earn the value of the energy that gets supplied. This is a huge possibility that exists in the field of biogas. About fire hazards. So okay, this is a very this is a tough question. So how is the potential of fire hazard measured? So it is measured in the pressure at which you store the flammable gas. So if you're storing flammable gas at a higher pressure, the pressure hazard is more. For example, LPG cylinder, we are storing at about 16 to 18 bar. However, our biogas is stored at atmospheric pressure. So even the law which applies to the Pressure Vessel Act, wherein you're storing gas at pressure, applies at 1 bar gauge pressure. That means 2 bar absolute pressure. So we are under the compliance. I call these under the radar technologies. So they are under the radar of compliance for their sheer simplicity. And I'll give you another example of an under the radar technology. It's like driving in the city on a cycle. So when you're cycling on the city, you can proudly go beside a policeman because you're not worried he'll catch me, license hai kya, PUC hai kya, insurance hai kya. You know, they have nothing to catch you for. So these are the under the radar simple technologies. So since there is, we are storing at a very, very near atmospheric pressure, they are fundamentally towards safe. Having said that, it's an inflammable gas, so it will definitely burn, just like LPG. How does this model is different? So basically, the gobar gas system is made for gobar. This is made for food waste. So because the input is different in two ways. One, in calorific value, the input is different. Food is a higher calorific value input than gobar. Plus, in the case of gobar, you need to add a lot of water so that you can actually feed the gobar to the system. So in the case of food waste, you don't need to do that also. So these are the two primary use case differences. Yes, the low pressure increases the space needed to store it. Yes, that is right. So for example, I need about 1,000 liter of gas, which is like a 1,000 liter balloon. Okay, so you can put it on the terrace or in a space where you can put a 1,000 liter balloon. So that is correct. We need much more volume to store that much amount of gas because it is at low pressure.
Shaukat is asking about the cost of a small module system and can it be done in Kashmir? I think the
Yeah.
second part, which I think Joginderji also asked,
Yes.
you may be, I think the answer probably applies the same, is in terms of finding ways to generate the heat, particularly in the colder temperatures of Kashmir.
Yes. Our
But
small
what about the
system,
costing part? Yeah.
yes, our small system is priced at 45,000 rupees plus transport and installation. That's the current cost of our home system.
Wonderful. Burning LPG generates hazardous effluents, nitrogen oxide, carbon oxide, benzene, etc. How is biogas burning any different?
So biogas has two elements. I mean, primarily the burning gas is methane, which is about 60% by volume, 55 to 60%. 40% by volume is CO2. And in trace amounts, about 1000 ppm to 2000 ppm is H2S and a little bit of ammonia. So these trace amounts of gases, which is H2S and ammonia, are burning and creating the necessary sulfates, and but that is in very low amounts. So maybe NO2 also to some extent, but it is in very low amounts. That only biodegradable waste go inside. If some parts are non-biodegradable waste inside, is there any risk? Okay. So I'll first answer your question. There is in principle no risk if any non-biodegradable parts go in. Okay. So it will not particularly affect the biology of the system. However, depending on what non-biodegradable waste is going, it can cause some other issues, like it will block the passages where from the slurry is flowing, and these kind of issues can come up. Okay, but let me tell you one very important learning that I had when I started working in biogas about non-biodegradable waste. So what happened in our system, every 4 to 6 months, we remove the undigested material out. Typically, our food contains fiber. So the fibrous part in the food doesn't get digested in our biogas. It is removed manually outside every 4 to 6 months. When we remove this, I ended up learning a lot. And one very important learning was all the plastic, of course, came out. But the plastic wrappers, which were shiny bright, they hadn't lost even an iota of their shine. They came out shining bright. And that was a huge learning for me that this material that we have created, plastic, it is amazingly useful to us. But nature has absolutely no capacity to degrade it. That was a huge learning for me when I started working in this. And which further, no matter how shiny and bright it looks, and no matter how convenient it may be, we really got to find alternatives because nature has no response to this plastic.
Oh, wonderful. This has been as enlightening as the first one. Probably we've never, I mean, composting is something many of us would have been familiar with, whether it's at a home level or in a community level. But biogas is a new thing for a lot of us particularly from an urban space. And it's actually quite heartening to see that so many, at least in the Pune area, seems like many organizations have started taking on. Probably it seems like from a economic angle, biogas seems to be adding. It's like a cost reduction thing. Particularly for canteens and stuff like that. This for anybody who, if it can bring down the cost of LPG and gas and so on, this seems to be a very viable or very interesting thing that they can work on. So, thank you so much, Priyadarshan. I think there will be more questions along the way, and we can see if we can answer it towards the end. But I think both of you all have really shown the spotlight on the opportunity as well as the issues that are there. In terms of sometimes it may be mindset issues, sometimes it is the science issues, and so on and so forth. But I think overall, looking at the potential that is there and where we are in the journey, this we can only hope and that things will change for the better. That both these solutions can actually scale up. The science and technology has already been proven by both of you all and many other co-inventors like you, innovators like you all, who have worked on this space, and hopefully the market would expand rather than shrink further. And typically change will happen when we start noticing the impact on us personally. And hopefully, all of us, someday, if not all of us, most of us will start waking up to reality and say that, okay, yes, there is a solution that we can actually go out and acquire, and it's not out of reach. It's not going to be so expensive that we can't afford it as individuals or as communities. So thanks a lot again, Priyadarshan, for your presentation. It was quite interesting to see what's the potential here. Uh, Hopefully, you can stay on in case there are other questions that come up, and we can bring you in as well. But now I would invite our third guest for today, Dr. Mansi Tripathi, to come and join us. Uh, Dr. Mansi Tripathi comes from the International Water Management Institute. Mansi ji has worked in the water-related issues for many, many years. Her PhD is also in the same subject of water. She's been involved in large projects, including the Clean Ganga Mission. She's had her PhD from IIT Roorkee, and she's currently working with the International Water Management Institute in their Delhi office as a national researcher. Like I said when we started the session, uh, uh, Mansi ji and her team at the International Water Management Institute and BAIF in Pune have established an innovation hub for circular bioeconomy. So what we thought would it be good to look at, and this was some of the in the initial in the after the first presentation there was a question about what are the kind of challenges entrepreneurs face in this space. And I think these ecosystems that have been created are possibly spaces where new entrepreneurs or new innovators can walk in. I think when Ravindra Karnad started and when Priyadarshan started, maybe these kind of ecosystem players were not there or may not have been as many as they are today. But I think it is important that we understand what is happening now so that future innovators or today's innovators can take the benefit. In fact, actually, just a few days ago, there was uh, 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 an event in BAIF where the team from Mansiji's organization was also there, and the winners were actually students from Hyderabad working on water. So I think it's very interesting to see that already there is some initial momentum acquired. So over to you, Mansiji, for your talk on the circular bioeconomy innovation hub. I'll stop this presentation. Let me know if you want me to share yours, and then I can, or if you are okay to do it from your laptop.
Yeah, thanks, Chaitanya. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I think I would prefer if you can share my presentation
I'll do that.
so
Okay,
that I
just
can
give me a second.
concentrate more on the
Sure, sure.
I can concentrate
Just
more
give
on
me
the
a second.
interaction
Yeah,
part. Yeah, sure. So by the time
absolutely.
Chaitanya shares my presentation, let me introduce myself. So hi everyone, I am Dr. Mansi Tripathi. I am currently working with International Water Management Institute. I'm based out of New Delhi in India. Chaitanya has given a long description about my work experience. But I think something which might be really interesting for most of the stakeholders present right here will be the current initiative that I'm working on. And I was lucky enough to actually have a conversation with Chaitanya recently when we met last week in Pune. And we thought that it would be a great opportunity to introduce the hub to everyone on board today and see how we can kind of, all of us come together for benefiting the entire sector so that like all of us can kind of gain from the opportunity of having these platforms like the Star Forum where we can start interacting with each other and where problem of a particular set of stakeholder can also become the solution of another set of stakeholder. So thanks, Chaitanya. Thanks for sharing. So I'll just briefly give a small introduction about my organization and the kind of work that I am involved in, and that will set a tone. And then I will kind of go into the details of the Innovation Hub and what exactly are we planning to do, and how long we've been operational, and how can we, which means all the stakeholders present over here, can be a part of the hub, and how we can kind of benefit from it. Can I move to the next slide, Chaitanya, please? Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. So, International Water Management Institute is basically a part of the CGIAR, and CGIAR is a global, it is the world's largest conglomeration of agriculture research organizations. We basically work in the global south. Um, and CGIAR is a kind of our mothership, and it primarily deals with the different aspects of agriculture. And within CGIR, we have 15 daughter organizations, each one specializing in one aspect of agriculture. So we have organizations which are kind of specializing in rice research, ones which are specializing in potato and tuber research. We are the ones that are specializing in water and wastewater related research. So, and circular economy. So because we started working in wastewater, hence water and soil and land, all of this are interconnected aspects. So hence this entire concept of circular bioeconomy, it kind of became something that we became really passionate about. And then we started working, and my team, which is currently, my team is currently working in, based in India and Sri Lanka and Ghana, Kenya. And some of us are also working in Colombia and Vietnam. So these are the countries where we have explored working as of now. And so kind of, it's really exciting for me to see how there are so many things that we've been working in India for so long. For example, biogas is not a new concept in India, but for countries like these in global south, biogas still is something very new to them. And the knowledge exchange that happens on the other way around, which means recently we had a conversation with our team in Ghana, which are in a way ahead of India in black soldier fly related solutions. So we had a knowledge exchange from there. So these to and fro kind of exchanges also helps entrepreneurs in India and in other global south countries to kind of have these knowledge exchanges and these technical exchanges with each other, so that as a whole, the community, the entire sustainability and circular bioeconomy community grows as a whole. So that is one of our primary objectives behind the establishment of the Circular Bioeconomy Innovation Hub. And I am the one who's leading the hub in India. We have established a similar hub in Ghana and Kenya. We're also working in Vietnam. We have a hub in Vietnam, which is working in collaboration with UNDP over there. And as I walk you through the presentation, I will let you know what exactly we've been doing so far and how can we go ahead together and how we can gain from it. Next slide, Chaitanya. Yeah, okay. So as an EME, which is my organization, which is a part of CGIR as a whole, currently we are stationed in 16 countries, and we are working in projects around 55 different countries in global south specifically. Not all of these projects are in circular bioeconomy, but a major chunk of the projects are focused in circular bioeconomy and wastewater related issues. So a lot of our work kind of concentrates on water and land resources, exchange of knowledge and technical information, capacity building, dialogues and policy analysis. We have in-house economists who actually, in fact, my boss herself is a policy specialist. So a lot of the policy loopholes that are existing in this particular domain in India and in other global south nations is something, is one of the core works that we do. And hence this platform where all of the stakeholders can come together and kind of have discuss and put forward their issues, put forward their the loopholes that they are facing with the system. It kind of brings together all the issues that everyone is facing, and it creates a force of nature where we can kind of not have sustainability as something which is just something that we are doing. It's not no more just a business for us. It is more than that. It is probably a way of life, like unlike other kind of businesses. Anyone who gets steps in the sustainability field is actually a person who is passionate about this entire sector. So to create this force of nature, we have developed this innovation hub. Chaitanya, next slide. Can I have the next slide? Yeah. So the primary objective of this hub is to kind of support the transition from the traditional linear economy to a circular economy, where the waste of different the organic waste, especially the bioeconomy. Circular economy in itself is a much bigger sector, but the circular bioeconomy is a smaller subset of this bigger sector. And our primary focus is to kind of see that the industrial waste, the municipal waste, agricultural waste, food waste, and wastewater, all these find the resources from these different kinds of organic waste can find re-entry into the system, where they can be utilized as a resource and not be taken only in the form of a burden. So there are different ways like nutrient and energy recovery, reclaiming water. So these different kind of solutions which can be for which the raw material can itself be extracted from the different kind of waste, and they can become so that the optimal utilization of the waste can be done. That is the primary objective that circular bioeconomy as a concept claims. And that is exactly what we want to do, and create a mindset shift and create a wave in which circular bioeconomy and sustainability in itself, it is a way of life. It is not just what we do, it is who we are. So that is the entire idea that we have, and that is the idea that we want to promote. Chaitanya, next. Yeah. So in general, the particular drivers, because we are primarily a research for development organization, so we kind of concentrate on the research part of it and how we can optimize the processes, how we can even lead to the study about the policies and the policy gaps. So the research in that aspect is also something that we do. So from our work, the kind of drivers which kind of have seen to impact the global south in terms, specifically the global south in terms of the driving factors for circular economy, have been the competition of resources, especially in the urban and the peri-urban areas. The competition of resources is like it's very high, and the resource diversification, nutrient recovery, and reduce climate change impact. The economic aspects of it are also the business models that we try to generate out of any waste that has been recovered, and how the recovered waste is going back into the system, and how profitable is the business. Because one thing that previously when I met Chaitanya, we were discussing that one reason why several businesses potentially find it difficult to make profit in this particular domain is that because they are people who are passionate about sustainability, so they start visualizing their business with a sustainability, or maybe they start projecting their business with a sustainability angle first and business later. And that is why many of them actually face the issues of translating from seed grants to bigger investments. So that is also a way of thinking that we want to change, so that the businesses start thinking of them as businesses first and projecting themselves as businesses first, so that they can attract better investments. And better investments in the sector means that the sector will be able to be technically optimized and economically optimized, better returns, and also better influence on the policymakers to make more feasible policies. So that kind of business models are also something that we are here to promote. Then the social and the health aspect, several green jobs are being generated from this sector, and the product availability is also something which is within the sector. It's found very easily, but there's a lot of unsegregated waste, there's a lot of mixing of waste, there is no uniform or calorific value of the waste that can be claimed for the end products. So a lot of these different issues are within the sector, and potentially the hub is in this place so that these silos, these individual issues that the different stakeholders are facing, they can have a common platform where the different stakeholders can come together, they can discuss their issues, and then maybe sort out the issues together. And it will also serve as a matchmaking between the NGOs and the grant holders, between the entrepreneurs and say the seed funders or the venture capitalists. So and the policy makers, as well as the people who are going to benefit from those policies. So that is the idea behind the hub, that is to create a platform where all the different stakeholders can come together and we can have a discussion, we can have conversations which kind of benefit all the stakeholders who are working together in this particular area. Chaitanya, next slide, please. Yeah. So the kind of innovations that we have worked on till now, if we consider the science part of it, so I'm creating this background about before is to make you feel that it's not that out of the blue, it's just some random group of people who are just enthusiastic about the sector, who have come together to create a platform. It is also, yeah, I think I'll take the questions after the presentation so that I can deal with them once. So it's not that, it is also that we have been working in this sector for quite some time now. And they've been in 2016 and 18 part where we were extensively working in India a lot, especially in the urban areas, in the fecal sludge management sector. And now we've realized after working in this sector for several years, now we realize that a lot of resources, a lot of knowledge already exists within, especially in case of India, a lot of resources and knowledge exist. And however, all of it is in a very scattered form. And it is very important, it's of actually the primal importance that everybody who is working in different aspects of this sector, they kind of start having a conversation with each other. So, I mean, just to set an example, right now, Priyadarshan was giving an example where he said that one of the issues that he saw with his biogas plants was the plastic, the silver plastic, actually, the ones that we have in all these snacks packets, if I recognize it correctly. The snacks, the Lays, Kurkure, all these packets, they are the ones which actually survived the entire biodigester treatment process. Yet they survived. And but at the same time, yeah, metallized film. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, the metallized film. But at the same time, I'm also aware that there are startups, and these are the startups which are working in the Pune area itself, which specifically work on these metallized plastics, and they prepare uh, high quality bags. In fact, they can also be called luxury bags. Not uber luxury, but yeah, they are good high quality bags out of it, and they are running a profitable business. Yes, it's Recharkha. Thanks. Yeah, it's Recharkha. And how such a platform can kind of bring together such entrepreneurs, where maybe uh, getting rid of that metal plastic is Priyadarshan's headache, but for Recharkha, it will be a raw material for them. So a connection can be established. It can be a simple matchmaking between two startups where one can, gain from each other. That is the primary objective that the hub has. Next slide, please. Yeah. So again, uh, multi-stakeholder. So this entire platform in itself is a multi-stakeholder platform. So when we started conceptualizing this hub, then we saw that India has in itself several innovation hubs. However, circular bioeconomy in itself was not something which was like, there was no single platform in India which kind of concentrated exclusively on this particular sector. So we kind of thought to bring together diverse perspectives, experiences, innovations in terms of not just the technology, but also the business models. Yes, yeah. We do have these kind of, okay, benches. Yeah. So not the innovations, not only in terms of science, but also in terms of the business models which can be used to finance such businesses. So these kind of different different ideas and different innovations which are already existing in India, we kind of thought to bring them together. And hence we conceptualized this particular platform. India, and another opportunity that we saw is that with the Bio E3 policy in place, India's bioeconomy has grown from 10 billion to 165.7 billion in 2024. And now it is supposed to reach the 300 billion mark. However, within the bioeconomy domain, circularity is an aspect which has not been, chalked out in detail, which means that if we do not tackle this in the beginning, in the initial stages, then the bioeconomy sector in itself might grow. However, the waste that will be generated from the bioeconomy sector, if it is not recirculated since the beginning, then it might become a hassle towards the end. I mean, it's just like India is also transitioning towards more renewable resources, and also towards solar, towards towards solar energy. However, the e-waste that will be generated, if it is not taken care from the beginning, then it will become a hassle in future. So same exists for bioeconomy sector in itself. If so much investment is coming, so much interest is coming in the bioeconomy sector, if the circularity aspect of it is not tackled from the beginning, it is bound to become a hassle once we start growing on it exponentially. So hence this platform, from the beginning we wanted to be a part of the conversation and try to pinpoint that the policy in itself lacks this particular aspect, where circularity has not been taken care of from the beginning.
I think that is a very good point that came up in the stakeholder meeting, that
Yes.
problems of today, sorry, solutions of today should not become problems of tomorrow. I think that's what
Exactly.
you're talking about. Yeah, very
Yes,
true.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Next slide, please, Chaitanya.
Yeah, 1 second. Is this the one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
So again, we have similar experiences in other countries in global south also, because again, all these countries which are kind of trying to make their way into the field of sustainability, they have started formulating policies. And because I have been fortunate enough to have to have my team working in Ghana and Kenya, where it is comparatively easier to influence policies. So I have seen that problem, and how they were eventually, how it was, in a way you can consider in terms of comparison with India, uh, the scale at which they operate, it is like a pilot scale for us. However, seeing them operate and the way they made step-by-step progress, and the way they were able to eventually communicate with their government, also gives us an idea that yes, it is possible. But yes, of course, it is more difficult in case of India, but it gives us a blueprint which we can scale up in India, where we can create this kind of setup, and then eventually the voices of the platform will be the voices of the co-owners, the partners, and the collaborators who are on the platform. And then as a collective, the voice will be able to have some influence on the policies. So this was a model that we started in Ghana initially, and right now the innovation hub in Ghana is running successfully, and they have been able to have several stakeholders on board. And recently they also were able to draft a policy with their environmental ministry, which is actually a success case. And it kind of verifies it even further, that when the collective voices in the sector come together, the policymakers eventually do listen, and attraction towards the issues is what will happen, and it will create a movement. So in India, learning from the example of Ghana, we thought that India could be a very good case where we do have a lot of potential. We have a lot of in-house potential in so many things, but to just optimally utilize this potential, and also streamline our actions and align our ways of thinking, and also the increased interest of the government in this particular sector is adding to it. So like this can be seen by the new mission Life, where livelihood is something in which we are concentrating, and by involving the circular, by creating attraction in the circular bioeconomy domain as a whole, not only in the peri-urban and in the rural area, also in the rural areas, it also leads to creation of many green jobs. Like that is also one additional, you can say it can be an additional benefit of this entire sector, because many people who are kind of involved in the waste collection and segregation works are primarily, they are unorganized labor. And sometimes in the rural sector they might be the farmers, but in the urban and in the peri-urban areas they are absolutely unorganized laborers. And if this is able to create green jobs for them, if this is able to create additional livelihood income for them, if this is able to diversify their sources of income, then that will be an added benefit, and it will also help us align with some existing government policies and government initiatives which are not directly linked to this domain, but it can be the secondary benefits that we can obtain by coming together on in this hub. The Swachh Bharat mission, the Jal Jeevan mission, and Bio E3 policy, all of these are actually they are proof that the government is aligned in this sector, and in coming years, this is going to draw major amount of interest in terms of resources, in terms of funding, in terms of the innovations, in terms of the science. But if we are but all of that will be optimally utilized if we are able to channelize our individual thoughts, our individual ideas, and also channelize our individual problems. Because even when the problems are channelized together, only then we will be able to achieve a solution which is suitable for all, and which kind of eases the business in this particular sector. Next slide, Chaitanya. Next. Next.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. So now when I've created a background, let me just quickly run through the entire approach. So the Innovation Hub was primarily launched on 14th of December 2023. And down the line, we have had 2-3 different stakeholder conversations where so it was IMI along with BAIF who have launched this stakeholder platform. Right now, we have our initial website, which is linked over here. And so we are currently working on the website where we are trying to put together all the resources that IMI and BAIF have. And this website will also it is also serving as a platform where whatever activities that we are doing in our individual projects which are linked to circular bioeconomy, and they are creating a proof of concept, we are linking all those projects and their outputs over here. So past 1 year, since the inception of the hub, we have IMI and BAIF, we have tried to set some initial you can say initial not exactly pilots, but maybe demonstration sites in BIF's campus in Oli Kanchan near Pune, where different circularity related solutions, be it biogas, briquetting, black soldier flies, all of these we have tried to put as small demonstration sites, and we have also given exposure visits and trainings to farmers in and around area who can come and have these trainings, and also can go through these demonstration sites to see if they feel interested, or if they feel that the resources that are available in their area align with any of these solutions. So at the same time, these demonstration sites also serve as sites where these farmers can actually come and have knowledge exchange with the team at BIF and with the team at IMI. So this is the original secretariat of the Innovation Hub, and the website in itself is simply a web-based platform where all of our partners and all the stakeholders can come together, and we can conduct collaborative events, we can have collaborative publications, and we can also have collaborative dialogues to kind of influence and influence each other's way and support each other's ease of doing business. Next slide, please, Chaitanya. Now we're going back.
1 second. Yeah, one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So right now, we are kind of trying to work on the entire conceptual framework of how we want to, the entire governance structure of the platform, and how we can expect different stakeholders to be a part of it. What exactly can they contribute and how exactly can they grow? This is not set in stone, and once you become a part of the hub, then you can contribute to setting of the governance structure. But as of now, the current set of stakeholders, the current governance structure, um, we have a vision to be a dynamic hub that kind of strengthens the knowledge, innovation, and finance within this entire ecosystem. And at the same time, we also want this ecosystem to become inclusive in terms of its policies and also the sustainability solutions. And by inclusivity, we want that youth and women should be at the center of this entire ecosystem, so that it is driven more than the first hand beneficiaries, and the benefits of the ecosystem, the benefits of the platform, it goes even to the grassroots levels. So the mission is to have internal growth, and with this internal growth, for internal, I mean all the stakeholders who are onboarded, internal growth for individual stakeholders, and as well as an external impact for the community as a whole. And currently, the 4 different objectives in which we are working is research and technical innovation. The kind of stakeholders who can contribute to this are the research institutes, the IITs, the NITs, or universities, research institutes. The financial circular bioeconomy, here we can have investors, seed funders, policy and governance. Here we can have the policy and governance institutes and also the policy makers, and the circular economy and inclusive impact pillar, under which we can have different media houses. It can be different NGOs who are working with the who are working in the urban and in the rural sectors. So by this, we have tried to identify how different categories of stakeholders can contribute to the overall mission, and also can gain from the from being a part of the hub. Next slide, Chaitanya. Yeah. So currently, EMI and in the current structure, because we were the original pioneers of the hub, so EMI and BAIF currently are the co-owners, and we would like to have an advisory committee where anyone who himself is somebody who has established themselves as a legend in this particular field. Like we have had conversations with Dr. Prasad Modak, who is a very known figure in this field, to be a part of our advisory committee, so that they can guide us through the process of this entire platform building and also scaling up the platform. The next category of stakeholders will be the collaborators. So collaborators will practically be associated with us in a very flexible way, which means that they can be associated with us for individual events or individual activities, and there is no official work plan, and there is no official uh, flow of funding, but the collaboration from which we support each other. And the next category will be the partners group, where we will have official MOUs, and also we will have official projects and work plans. Here there will be a proper flow of funding to ensure that it moves ahead in a very streamlined way, and specific work plans and specific activities are carried out with that individual stakeholder. Next slide, please. Yeah. So in considering all this entire structure that we've tried to create in past 1 year and how we have tried to establish a foundation for it, within 1 year, we were able to reach out to more than 400 participants and who were trained. These participants were primarily the farmers who have been these were the farmers from the Nandurbar district and the Nasik and Ahmednagar district with whom we were working. And so many of them were provided training and all initial sensitization. And then depending on the interest, like which farmers are interested in which circular bioeconomy technologies, we kind of provided them training. So more than 400 participants were trained. And after the training, we eventually also piloted a small enterprise, biochar-based enterprise in Nandurbar. And we have set up a biogas plant, which was actually set up by Vaayu in one of the schools in Akole. And it is a food waste-based biogas plant, which is set up in a tribal school. And it is amazing to see how circularity is in action, because not only do these children benefit from the biogas plant being stationed within their campus, they are seeing circularity in action. And currently, we are also working with a supplementary course material which will be introduced to these school children. So in a way, it creates education, like circularity based education also in a circular way, because that's how these children will grow up. They will grow up seeing circularity in action, and that will create that entrepreneurial mindset. And once they are in their senior standards, they will already have a knack for this specific domain. So in very subtle ways, we are trying to integrate, literally braid circularity as a part of their being. Similarly, we have also established household level biogas plants in some of the rural households which were owning their own livestock in Kalsubai area in Maharashtra. So these three circularity based models we were able to establish in last 1 year, and the training modules were developed in local languages. They were developed in Marathi. And last year, we did conduct an innovation challenge, basically a youth innovation challenge, which was primarily for circularity ideas in amongst the master's students. And this year, we conducted a similar challenge where I had met Chaitanya last week, and that was for early stage startups. And the startup that actually that won the challenge was a startup from BITS Hyderabad. And now we will move ahead, and we will try to incubate this startup with BAIF Cares, which is a new incubation center. At the same time, we are also in conversation with other incubation centers which have been kind of taking care of different kind of sustainability related incubations for past several years, and we are trying to align our incubation center with them, so that eventually, all of these startups are able to see the light of the day, and they move out of the college dorms, and they uh, maybe seniors like Priyadarshan can actually guide them also as how to move ahead. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the benefit to stakeholders is it's here we've just tried to identify some benefits of to stakeholders, and these are mostly tangible benefits. However, coming together However, coming together on such a platform, I think the tangible benefits come afterwards. And first of all, the non-tangible benefits come, because many of us are individually in this domain, and we do know what exactly we are gaining and what exactly we are putting it. So we have done our research before we have entered this domain. However, coming together and being a part of the conversation is a big time non-tangible benefit that all of us can gain from it, be it the farmers, be it the startups, the research community, the donors, the venture capitalists who are. So what I see, there's a lot of hesitation from the venture capitalists to invest in this sector. They want to, but they are not very sure. At the same time, the entrepreneurs in this sector, they want to approach the venture capitalists, but they are skeptic at the same time. So all these hesitations can be solved if everybody, comes together and starts having a conversation. And that will create a pretty picture for everyone, because then everyone will start speaking a common language, which is currently an issue, that the investors and the donors, the entrepreneurs and NGOs, they all speak different languages. The theme is the same, but the language, the vocabulary is different. So once everybody comes together, then once a conversation gets started, uh, the vocabulary will kind of get unified, and eventually the vocabulary gets unified, and eventually there is a common dialogue between the different stakeholders. uh, next slide, please. Yeah. So in terms of the projected impacts, we have circular bioeconomy innovation bundles. Again, one major conversation that we had in our recent stakeholder conversation was also that decentralization is one of the core principles, which kind of, it's basically the soul of this entire domain. But at the same time, if scaling up is not done, then eventually the business does not gain enough profits, and it ends up, just surviving on the bare minimum. So another idea that we had was that scaling up does not mean increasing the volume of the business at that individual location. Scaling up also means multiplying in terms of the location where a decentralized business is running. So the business models and the innovation bundles is something like this, where one individual innovation at a particular location, though it might be decentralized, but we can scale it up. And that is how we can, approach bigger investors to invest in this sector, where we can scale up not by just increasing the size of a particular technology, but by multiplying the locations in which we are applying it across India. And by coming together on a platform, it will give us an access to different businesses running in different parts of India who can collaborate with each other and can eventually create a business models of collaboration. Now, so, capacity building, piloting, and scaling up of the model. So scaling up is what I have talked about, that scaling up approach can be different than the traditional scaling up approach of non-sustainability related businesses. And at the same time, capacity building in itself is also a very prominent thing that we are trying to achieve. So one such conversation that we recently had with our stakeholders was also that it's not just the traditional investment that in this sector is what is a bit hesitant. What we realized is that industry in itself needs solutions, and solutions are available with the research institutes. However, the solutions that are available and that are regularly created by the research institutes, they do not align with the requirement of the industries. So again, an alignment over here can be produced if both the industry and the research institutes come together and have a conversation. One such example is that I recently attended a conference where I presented some of our work. And there I came to understand that this kind of model works in Italy, where there is a collective network of researchers who work in circular bioeconomy domain and circularity domain. And every PhD, every PhD that starts their work in a particular research lab or under any research institute, their PhD is funded by some industrial partner, which means that once they start their PhD and by the time they end their PhD, not only do they provide a solution to that industry, in a way they already are placed. Like the PhDs are also placed in that industry. So it is a win-win situation for everyone. The industry in itself does not need to create its full-fledged R&D lab just to optimize its products. And at the same time, the PhDs are not just working on some random PhD topic which has no relevance in the real world. And at the same time, because they are investing their money in this particular PhD scholar, the scholar in itself is working on a real life situation rather than some theoretical or a hypothetical thing which does not exist in real life. So these kind of different examples that we have seen is a very good gives a very good idea how coming together, how bringing together different stakeholders actually aligns everybody's interest, and it helps everybody to grow, because collaboration is something which uh, gives way to everyone to grow together, and there is no need for competition. There is enough for everyone, and in fact the sector in itself grows if all of us come together and work in collaboration. So next slide, please. I am about to end. I won't take much time. Here are just some pictures from few of our activities that we conducted last year. I have not included the activities of this year's 2025. I've not included because we haven't published that yet. But these are the activities that we primarily did last year. So we have our initial stakeholder conversation. It was the roundtable that we had, and the next picture is from the Youth Innovation Challenge. The bottom picture we can also see it is a webinar that we had for knowledge exchange with Kenya on black soldier fly. And here we actually had a startup who has been profitably working in Kenya on black soldier fly, and they had a conversation with a startup that was working in India and was having some technical issues in dealing with the black soldier fly setup. So that is how knowledge exchange kind of supports each other and creates a market for all of us. And the under business models, the first picture is actually the Vaayu biogas plant that has been set up in the school. And then we have this biochar small enterprise that has been set up in Nandurbar. And then we can see some of the trainings on black soldier fly and biochar that we conducted last year. These were the exposure visits and the trainings that we conducted. Next slide, please, Chaitanya. Yeah. Okay. So the current innovation hub that we have is the one that we have just started in India, and we have started in um, Ghana and Kenya. In Colombia, we do not have a hub as such, but we have a collective where we have been working with one of our daughter organization, our sister organizations, and we have we have had a very successful youth boot camp innovation challenge, which was actually across the entire South American continent. So it was a very good successful youth innovation challenge that we had. And similarly in Vietnam, as I mentioned earlier, there we have been working with UNDP. So India is at a stage where we are kind of on the initial stages. We have just established the platform. But yes, the scale at which it can go in India is tremendous. But this is just the beginning, and we really appreciate interest for stakeholders to get on board. And just as we met several stakeholders last week, we are right now currently standardizing the process for stakeholders to join the platform. And from January, we will start onboarding different stakeholders. So please feel free to reach out to me, and feel free to reach out to Chaitanya or to BAIF to be a part of the platform. Or we will be also posting it on our website. And from there, you can register to be a part of the platform in different capacities as a collaborator or as a partner. And let's see how we go ahead with it. So yeah, it is something that we have initiated, but we also are really open to have different minds come together and help us figure out how to optimize this entire platform and how we can all gain from it. Just one last slide, I guess. Yes, and within 1 year, we have been able to be captured by several platforms. And I did not mention, but we have also been covered by DevEx and FAO. So yeah, that is because again, a big advantage of being in India is disadvantageous in the sense that like being able to create the smallest level of policy influence is very difficult. But at the same time, the amount of impact that can be reached in India is also tremendous. So with this, I rest my case, and I hope I have been able to convey my message. And thank you so much, Chaitanya, for having me. Um, Yeah, that's it. Thank you
No,
so
thank you
much.
so much. I think this is this is a very much needed initiative that I think uh, the whole sector is very clearly in its almost in its early stage of proving itself, and everybody that we've had yesterday and today also from your this thing, it's very clear that the sector is only going to grow. We probably have to find ways to remove the bottlenecks, find ways to reduce the friction, find ways to influence policy so that जो जो already ready rules हैं उसको implement करने से ही in fact I think there'll be a lot of opportunity to grow. But very crucially, what you brought about today is the need to establish a good ecosystem. Stakeholders of different types, different capabilities, different potential in terms of collaboration. And the thing which stands out for me is the space for collaboration. Uh, no, we are really competing not with one another, but we are really competing with status quo. We're competing with current reality and trying to shift it to a better reality in future. And that this collaboration is not even just limited to within the country, but even the issues that you talked about, global south, and the one example of collaboration that came out in last week that you spoke about is somebody within in Pune and trying to solve an issue with Black Soldier Fine is getting support from somebody else who's already solved that in Kenya. And I think this kind of environment that you're creating through with BAIF and IVMI, I think is very crucial uh, to help this. I think through this forum, we will definitely put a call out for people who may want to partner with collaborate with the innovation hub, and hopefully we'll be able to join forces to make this happen. So thanks a lot, Mansi, once again for uh, giving us a very deep but wide uh, view of what this circular bioeconomy innovation hub is all about and how it is shaping up in India and also globally. So with that, I think there are a couple of questions that you may want to look at. There's one from Dr. Prabhu.
Yeah,
Currently, many, if not most, circular economy processes require high energy and resource inputs relative to their secondary material outputs. Given this challenge, what is the status of investment versus return on these initiatives to attract a mainstream private investment?
So, yeah, one thing that I recently realized, especially when I was having conversation with different startups last week, Chaitanya, is that most of the startups are kind of, they are in this sector, especially, they are stuck in the mindset of being a social entrepreneur. And they might like it being called social entrepreneur, but any of the big investors, they are skeptic of investing in a social entrepreneurship. So it's just the way you project your business to such social entrepreneurs. So today I was today I was just reading the case study of Pool. And most of us who have worked in this sector kind of know that Pool is one of a success stories. So what I realized is that
For those who may not know, Fool, PHOOOL, is a very successful startup which has used temple flower waste, literally, I mean, coming out and used that, converted into incense sticks and a range of products, very high end, highly popular, highly sought after. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were talking about them.
yeah, so when I was reading their success story, what I realized is that they got investment from venture capitalists. And currently, this is a new way of funding. They have also got funding from Alia Bhatt. And what I realized is it's not just one thing that can support your business in the. So first you need to keep it, if you want to go for the big bucks, You need to keep it to yourself that you are a social entrepreneur, because they don't want to listen to it. You have to tell them that it is a business. Let them see it as a business. You keep it to yourself that you want to be a social entrepreneur. And once you reach a point where you are running successfully enough in terms of money, then you can put out this narrative that it is a social entrepreneurship. Because, we just can't change the way anyone who is investing as a venture capitalist or is investing in any business for profit, they do want returns. So, the skepticism is actually in this particular point. It's just a way of projection. It is the same business, but it is the angle, no? So when we kind of I have done my BTech. So in engineering drawing, for any structure, you see the top view, you see the side view, you see the bottom view, all are different, but it is the same structure, right? So it's just that seeing the top view of the business might be different for a venture capitalist, the side view might be different for the policymaker, and your own view might be different. It is the same thing, it's just the way you project it.
I think both Manisha and Priyadarshan have expressed the difficulty and probably sometimes even the incompatibility of pure commercial and impact sort of this thing, which is true. It's not a straightforward thing. There's a lot of issues of trying to make this work, and I think that's the main thing that we are looking at. In fact, actually, there have been a lot of discussion around consolidation versus decentralization, and what are the pros and cons and all that. So we are really walking through some very difficult terrain. There are no easy answers, but it's very helpful to see who's trying to understand and trying to create to in a way that can be sustained and can continue to work. Um, uh, Okay, Priyadarshan, I think you have an idea to share. Maybe with that we'll bring the session to a close. I think there are a few questions. I think some of them may have got answered, but I think we all acknowledge the difficulty, which is the reason why we brought this panel together today. Two entrepreneurs who have tried to break through difficult challenges and make a viable, sustaining organization, which yes, still some of them may not have yet gone there, and ecosystem player who's trying to help get all these problems sorted. I think we have a lot of effort still going in that direction. We need to work harder to find a way to make it work. But now, just before we close it, yeah, Priyadarshan, would you like to share the idea that you were talking about?
Yes, sure. So, whenever we are solving an uncertainty, we cannot close any options. So, I'm not closing the option presented by Manasi ma'am. Okay. I'm just saying something new that I've been thinking about, I'd like to place it as another option. So, I have 200 customers now who have already invested in Vayu. Okay. And which means they have invested in personal action. Now I started going and asking them, ki, hey, you know what? You have already made an investment. You have already purchased Vayu, kharida hai. Would you like to buy a share in the company that makes Vayu? This is the pitch I am making to my 200, I'm considering to make. I have started to make it to some of them. The idea here is that these people who take action, you and I, sometimes feel that what will an individual action result into? बस मेरा action क्या होगा उससे? Now, when this person invests in the company which can take this action to thousands of more people, they then feel like a part of a bigger change, which goes beyond their individual action, and they know definitely what that change is. It's like investing in Infosys when I have used the product that Infosys makes, which we never use, but we still invest in Infosys because there the spec the measurement matrix is only money. But here it is something beyond money. We are a profitable business. We definitely fit the bill of a business, and we are doing an amazing change. So these are some of the different ways I believe in which climate entrepreneurs can approach funding sources.
I think that's a very interesting, very, what shall we say, a very totally contrarian view to a normal view of looking at this. It almost sounds similar to, maybe an FPO kind of a model,
Right.
where people who
Chaitanya,
are actually
this is basically what is exactly called an innovative business model. Like this is an
absolutely
innovative finance model, basically.
perfect. I think that's a very bright idea. It needs to be elaborated. Maybe this is the innovation hub could be a great way to actually ESOPs. Yeah, it could be, the innovation hub could be a great way in which such a model can actually be fleshed out in detail so that it becomes viable and becomes uh, truly change making for the people who are in the space to make it work. Trusteeship, yeah, of course, that's another very interesting model. So I think we started off on a slightly bleak note in terms of how difficult it is to implement these solutions, how difficult it is to sell such concepts, even if the science is sorted, even if the cost is affordable, how difficult it is to sell these products and services, especially in an urban context where there is the status quo is already there. Somebody's uh, कचरा कोई उठा के लेके जा रहा है ना, why do I need to bother kind of mindset to moving to a space where yes there is potential, maybe we don't have all the answers, lekin to working together through a player like the incubation hub and all the various stakeholders coming together to solve a joint problem, I think there is possibly a way forward that we can hope to see. And I think on that note, I want to really thank all three of you, Ravindra Karnad, Priyadarshan Sahasrabuddhe, and Dr. Mansi Tripathi, for sparing your time, taking the interest to share everything that you have learned, and with all the people on the call today, in the meeting today, and hopefully we will be able to support one another in this journey going forward. So thank you once again, and for tomorrow we have another very interesting thing. Manisha, who's also on the Zoom today. She is going to be kicking off tomorrow, and a couple of people from the urban local bodies kind of. We're looking at community level changes that we can. What does it take to make change happen at a community level? And some successful models we're going to be talking tomorrow. One is Manisha's work in the last year and this year about recycling or reclaiming the clay sludge that comes out through during the Ganesh Chaturthi festival, and then upcycling it back. And also with Mahesh Shinde, who's one of the entrepreneurs working with Black Soldier Fry. And we have the chief officer of a municipal council tomorrow, who's coming in to talk about how he and his the local government over there made it possible for large scale waste processing and waste management. So today we saw things at an individual or at an institutional level. Tomorrow we're going to see two examples at a community level. And then the third speaker tomorrow is going to be someone who spent a lot of time in the green economy space and has also helped start a sustainability livelihoods institute. So we are going to also explore the aspect of how to help develop green skills and green entrepreneurship from his experience. So I look forward to having all of you back tomorrow, and have another engaging conversation in the third day of our 5-day web series on the circular economy. With that, thank you so much and have a great evening, good night, and thanks once again to all the speakers who have joined us. Yes, Manisha, we will definitely keep some time for discussion. Thank you. So with that, we will close the Zoom today and look forward to seeing you back tomorrow. Thank you and good night.